You ever scroll through a sea of electric fireplace listings, picture that sleek, modern hearth on your wall, click add to cart, only to end up with a box that looks great but feels flat once it's actually lit? I've been there, and the disappointment comes from a mismatch between glossy marketing photos and what you really need in your living room: real heat, believable flames, and a unit that actually fits the space you've carved out. That's why I'm breaking down the Dimplex Revillusion 30-inch built-in firebox today, so you can decide if it's the right fit before you waste time and money. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question most buyers have is whether an electric firebox can do more than just look pretty. Dimplex markets this model with 3 flame intensity settings that correspond to 4,435, 6,739, and 8,786 BTU, and it runs on standard 120 to 240 volt circuits. In practice, that means you can dial the heat up for a chilly night or keep it low for pure ambience. The real kicker is the partially frosted acrylic panel. Unlike the fully mirrored glass you see on cheaper units, this panel lets you actually see through the flames to the back of a surrounding masonry fireplace. If you already have a traditional hearth and want an electric insert that doesn't block the view, this design does a nice job of preserving that visual connection while still delivering a modern flame effect. I installed the Revillusion in a second-floor apartment where the landlord only allows plug-in heaters. The unit fits a 30-inch cutout I already had for an older, underperforming electric insert. The wiring was straightforward: just a dedicated 120-volt line and a standard wall switch. Within 10 minutes I had it mounted, connected the power, and the first flame animation rolled across the panel. The frosted area gave the illusion of depth. You can actually make out the brick texture of my existing fireplace behind the fire, which is something you don't get with a solid mirror front. That visual authenticity is the biggest practical strength I've noticed. Heat output is where the rubber meets the road. On the high setting, the unit pushes about 2,575 watts, which translates to roughly 8,800 BTU. In my apartment, that was enough to raise the temperature by 3 to 4 degrees in a room of about 300 square feet. It's not a substitute for a central furnace, but it does cut down the need to crank the central heat when you're just chilling on the couch. The mid-range setting, at around 1,975 watts, is perfect for those evenings when you want the look of a fire without the extra energy draw. The low setting, 1,375 watts, works well as a soft glow accent that adds visual warmth without really heating the space. One hidden trade-off is the need for a dedicated circuit if you plan to run the unit at full power for long periods. The higher wattage can trip a standard 15-amp breaker if you've already got other appliances on the same line. I found that pairing it with a separate outlet on the same circuit but with a dedicated 20-amp breaker solved the issue. If you're in a condo or a house with limited electrical capacity, you might need an electrician to add that circuit, which adds to the overall cost. Another practical consideration is the sound. The Revillusion uses a fan-driven system to create the flame effect, and while it's generally quiet, there is a subtle hum when the high heat setting is engaged. In a bedroom or a very quiet study, that hum becomes noticeable. For most living rooms and family spaces, it blends into the background, but if you need absolute silence, this might be a downside. Now, who should actually buy this unit? If you already have a traditional masonry fireplace and want a clean, modern way to turn it into a year-round feature, the Revillusion's frosted acrylic front is a real benefit. It lets the original hearth stay visible, which is a plus for design-savvy homeowners who don't want to hide their brick. It's also a solid option for renters who can't install a vented gas or wood stove but still want a focal point that provides some supplemental heat. The 3 flame settings give you flexibility: high for real heating, medium for a warm vibe, and low for pure aesthetic. On the flip side, if you're looking for a unit that can heat a large open-plan space or replace a primary heating system, you'll be disappointed. The 8,800 BTU ceiling is decent for a single room but won't keep a sprawling living area comfortable on its own. Also, if you have a tight electrical panel and can't add a dedicated line, the high heat setting could become more trouble than it's worth. Finally, anyone who expects a completely silent operation should look elsewhere. Let's talk about value beyond the headline specs. The biggest cost saver is the fact that this firebox runs on electricity, so there's no need for gas lines, venting, or chimney maintenance. That alone can save you.